All right. Well, now it is my pleasure. I'll stay on stage. It's my pleasure to welcome Dan Janki to our Elevate stage. Dan recently took on the role of Chief Operating Officer at Delta Airlines, and he's here today to share with us a fresh take on leadership, on innovation, and what it takes to keep evolving in our rapidly changing industry. So thank you to Dan.
Thanks for coming down. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. Thank you for making the time this morning to join us on stage. Really excited to meet you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Great to be with the team. Great to be in the hometown of Atlanta. Hopefully, many of you traveled, if not all of you, traveled in on Delta, and we took good care of you, and the team took good care of you.
Yeah. Well, and really exciting times for Atlanta. That game last night with the Knicks was absolutely amazing. But congratulations on your new role as well. I know that's, going from CFO to COO is not trivial. And I'm curious, as you moved from into this new role, you're now overseeing a lot more systems, the processes that run the airline, and also the teams that actually bring that strategy to life. And so that must mean that you're spending time differently.
Yes.
Can you share a little bit of what you're doing differently now?
No doubt. I would say just in general, after spending almost 30 years in financial services and maybe longer cycle industrial businesses, spending the last 5 years in aviation, you realize the high velocity nature of the business, both commercially and operationally. And you were talking a lot about that in the opening. So for me, just coming into it, you realize how important data is, technology, from a customer perspective, from the commercial team perspective, the operating teams, along with the financial teams, along with your employees. And how do you spend time on that? So certainly going into the operational role, I saw a lot of it financially across the company, but it's digging in to make sure that I understand that connection in regards to what our employees see, what the customer sees, and how do we then best support and set our people up to win the day, to win the week, to win the month as it relates to that. So one part of that is my own education is I actually have the team doing a whole work for me just on our operational data white paper. Like give me the history of it, maybe how we've evolved it over time, how that architecture's evolved over time, and lay out to me what they feel is our North Star for the next 3 to 5 years. And how did we get there and understanding that so that I know where we're going and how that supports the journey and strategy of the company.
Yeah, it makes sense. And there's a tremendous amount of data on the operational side. There is, when I worked on that side of the industry, what I like to say was literally swimming in data. And the question is, how do you make the most of it, right, to benefit your operation?
I always say that is, how do you turn it into information? And I know there's a lot of discussion even around, and you brought up AI at the end, and we don't always talk about AI as artificial intelligence. And in the leadership team, we talk about it as augmented intelligence.
Right.
And how do we ensure that we take data, turn it into information, turn it into intelligence that better not only inform our customers, but really inform our employees and set them up for success every day.
Right. Well, Delta obviously operates at a global scale, largest airline in the world on many measures. And that also comes with a need to think about how you balance kind of flexibility also with standards adoption. And Delta has, especially in recent history, kind of staked out a unique approach to that. And so how do you think about adopting common standards and shared industry foundations to enable your global scale?
You have this actually on multiple levels, right? Because a lot of times people generally feel like if you control the information or the data, you kind of have the power. So it's not only industry-wide, it's actually within your company. And historically, we created, most of our architecture was more built around operating groups, whether it's on the commercial side between network and revenue management, inventory management, or on the operating side, whether it's the airports versus the aircraft information, the crew information. So even inside your own walls, you have this element where people want to kind of control the data. And what we always talk about is, no, you want to bring standards to it. You know, you want to have one view of the crew, one view of the aircraft, one view of the flight that then you can transpond out. And that unlocks everybody having the same information. And everybody staying in sync and acting off of that information versus who really controls it. It's really about, and when you do that, you build, it's hard, right? You have to build that trust in everybody. But if you build that trust, then you start to empower. If you start to empower, the speed of your decision making and execution increases. So you have to do that within your own team and company. But that's our opportunity as an industry. Is, you know, we really don't compete on data. It's what you go do with it. And so the technology platforms and the data, how do we, these standards aren't, it's not like compliance, right, related to it. It's really unlocking trust, empowerment, speed, flexibility.
Yeah.
And, you know, having groups like yourselves and others help us move to that. I mean, we're all doing it within our own operations. I think everybody that's a part of the team has that. You always wish you woke up and everybody in your company saw the same information at the same time and could be informed. That's where you want to be. The beauty is the technology is catching up, right? And the data technology is evolving really fast here, where you don't have to rebuild all the systems. Before 2 decades ago, you'd have to design an ERP and set the data structure and all that stuff and generate it. Now you can take very fragmented systems, but do a lot with the data layer and the structural layer. So it's really powerful.
I think that is a really powerful point. And I love the analogy between, you know, even within a company, it's important that we have a shared understanding of what the data means. And certainly Delta is leading us into that future.
This industry, and I was talking to a friend earlier this morning over coffee outside. We were talking about how it is the ultimate team sport. And it's not only the ultimate team sport inside your company, but it's also as an industry. This industry is incredibly collegiate. And it's the one thing that I've always admired about it. In my tenure before here, we had an engine business. I never had the opportunity to work in it, but those colleagues had such a collegiate nature. And it's the only industry that in a morning, an afternoon, you and I were talking about it, you could be a customer, you could be a partner, you could be a supplier, or you could be a competitor, all in the same meeting. So, and I think that's our opportunity.
Yeah, so unique.
Yeah.
Well, ATPCO is frequently kind of surveying the market to understand market trends. And one of the surveys that we run is a flight shopper survey. And we ask questions like, what's important to you when you're considering an airline offer? And our most recent survey found that 70% of travelers say that more than just the price, it's important to understand what is in the offer itself. Yep. So beyond just price, it's important to understand what the offer is, and recognizing that your operating strategy and really your success as an airline is tied up in your ability to really meet those customers' expectations and provide offers that are relevant. How do you view your role or your new role as a COO in relation to Delta's retailing strategy?
They're pretty connected, right? We've been on a well over a decade journey of segmenting more our offering in a way that we meet our customers in the product that they want, in the channel that they want. We want to support all channels. We want to support how our customers want to transact with us, and give them the product that they most value. But to your point, they have to have trust in that product, that they know when they not only buy it, the value that they believe that they're getting, it actually gets delivered. And that's the operating side of it, which is, it's one thing to retail, it's another thing to deliver it. And even one of our big learnings over time was sometimes our front ends move faster than our operating side. And we now have a saying, you don't sell something if you can't service it with the same philosophy. It's great that you can bring the value in retailing, but if your customer care teams and your airport teams and others can't serve it, that way, or your partners can't serve it.
Right.
If you're going across partners,
right.
Then you got to get those things in sync. So because that's the trust that you're creating. Someone may trust it at the checkout, but if they get through their travel experience, if it's not reinforced, if that value versus price that you're delivering them, that experience that they purchase and value so much, if you can't deliver on it, you're going to erode that trust, and that loyalty of that customer that you work so hard to build over time.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Well, Delta just emerged from a really busy first quarter with a lot of changes and unpredictability in the world. Airlines are no stranger to disruption either. And so how do you, as all of these changes, as all of these headwinds, hit the airline, how do you keep your teams, your employees engaged and involved during these unprecedented times?
The one thing I've learned about it is that is a little bit how we talked about it. There's a certain amount of velocity that comes with it. You can expect things, the unexpected to happen almost every year. And I think one of the things that I've learned to really admire about Delta and our team is, and we talk a lot too, I was with our employees out, and we do 15 frontline events where we talk about the company strategy and where we're going and priorities. It's kind of a water cooler of how do you bring 500 people together 15 different times a year to continue their understanding of the company. And we always stay true to the strategy. And even in uncertainties, you wake up to Venezuela, you go into the Middle East, you have TSA shutdowns, you got to know you can't get knocked off your strategy or your priorities. So yes, you have to tack as a sailboat would for that changing landscape, but you got to know your North Star. And we always angle around 5 superpowers in the company that we talk about, our core competencies. One, it's the people and culture. We're always going to stay the course. They're the most important competitive advantage we have. We don't believe others can replicate. Then you always are trying to make progress as it relates to your operational reliability. You have to deliver for your customers. Third is you want to take people to where they want to go. So continue to expand the network and your partner structure. And then third is that trusted brand, that loyalty. How do you get people to choose you more frequently and come back to you and build a deeper ecosystem, a trusted brand? That's Sky Miles, Amex, and then ultimately a strong financial foundation. And if you always use those as your elements, no matter what the environment is, you stay true to that. You have to adjust the tactics, maybe pricing, maybe capacity, given the dynamics going on with fuel and other factors, but stay true to those medium long term. You can continue to differentiate, build a stronger enterprise over time.
Right, I like that a lot. And it is easy to get knocked off your game if you don't have a commitment to your strategy.
Yes.
And so being able to demonstrate that, I admire how you approach that with your employees, giving them a chance to engage it, but also you get to reinforce that every time you do it, which only strengthens your ability to execute it.
Yeah. So we always tell our teams, control what you can control
within
that framework. And for our employees, our frontline, it's the care that they provide. It's those impactful behaviors. We know not everything's going to go well every day. We're not always going to operate on a day like today, blue skies. We're going to have disruptions. And it's really our people at that moment in time that really can differentiate. And we talk about those impactful behaviors and how do you stay true to your people over these times, but those core principles.
Right. Good. Well, you're also stepping into your role at a time of significant disruption in the Middle East. As Delta has responded to that, obviously there's the short-term actions that you take. But do you have a perspective on whether Delta believes this is something enduring that will change the way that you approach execution, or something that's more short-term?
I'd say it's probably a little bit of balance of both. I think there's short-term pressures that are created and adjustments that you have to make. I don't know that if you have more enduring or different, but I think there's long-term kind of structural changes going on in the industry, and my feeling is these types of environments only accelerate those changes. And so you'll see just structural elements get accelerated, maybe things that would have taken a year or 2 or 3 may manifest themselves in 9 or 12 months because of the dynamics going on. It will shake out, I think, in these periods of time. The strong tend to get stronger and the weak tend to get weaker.
Right.
And those are moving anyhow that way.
Right.
But they'll only move at an accelerated pace through these periods.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, maybe with that kind of topic a little bit in mind, if there is one thing that you could change about our industry or improve or accentuate, is there something that comes to mind?
I think it's a little bit in your opening. I think it's not so much change, but accelerate. As you think about this industry has always been known as we don't compete on safety.
Right.
And we share like crazy safety standards, SMS, whatever it is, it's all hands, right? From every incident that happens, from every near miss, it's how do you share as an industry? And one of the things I'm most excited about is the next phase of data and technology change that we're on. I think it's one that has the opportunity to unlock the greatest potential that we've probably seen in our business careers as it relates to, we all love our phones and data and all these other things we never knew that we needed, but I think a whole wave of just taking friction out of travel, right? And so I think the foundation of that is exactly the theme of this is how do we accelerate the data standards and the pipes of how we interact, because we really aren't competing on that. It's really what we go do with that is really the so-called difference in every company, and whether it's your distribution partners, your global partners, your other parts of the ecosystem. I think the more that we can sync that up, the faster we can get to a place where we can take the friction out for customers and our employees and just all operate more effectively.
Yeah, I look forward to that. Sounds good. Reading the headlines, it would be easy to become a little bit deflated about what's going on in the world today, and yet we have this amazing industry that really serves to connect people. And so, what are you most optimistic about the future or where we're headed?
Yeah, there's no doubt. In today's world, you don't have to hunt very far to find decisiveness, right? And people not willing to engage in constructive dialogue and other elements, and in so many different facets. But to me, growing up, I grew up in a small town east of Cleveland in Ohio, maybe 1,500 people. Wasn't that diverse at all, didn't come from that diverse of a background. I didn't have the opportunity to actually engage in air travel until my junior of my college year, going into my senior year for actually a trip from, I grew up in Ohio, so Columbus to Atlanta, of all places, down here. But the reason I say that is through my time, the experiences that I have in travel have been professional world unlocked my development as a person. And, I got thrown into a role in Asia. I had never been to Asia, living in Hong Kong, going to China, going to Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, and I was amazed that every time I went, the culture, they'd want to engage you, they'd want to teach you, and you want to learn from them, and that human connection is so valuable. That's when you get to, we all love that. We love that connection with people, and for me, travel is the ultimate experience. And we talk about it a lot in Delta, in that the fact that only 1 in 5 people in the world have had the opportunity to experience air travel. So that foundationally, it's a growth business. It's our opportunity to connect, and the more that we connect, so give them those travel experiences, bring people together for that human connection, I think it's ultimately really good for society. So for me, that's what I'm most optimistic about. When I think 5, 10, 15 years, it's how do we continue to unlock that opportunity? But to do it, you got to make it more accessible, more affordable, all the different elements that we work so hard on every day, and take the fear. Some of that barrier on travel is just the fear of it, right? And we got to take the friction, comfort, trust, all the things that we talked about. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And that is what brings me to work every day as well, is just being inspired by travel and the opportunities that has to bring us together. So I really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today.
and really appreciate your willingness to share some of your experiences and the experiences of Delta. So
thank you for having me. Going through the agenda, your lineup over this time, it's great to have partners like this that create these environments that allow our teams to dialogue and discuss and move forward. So I appreciated my time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very
all
much.
the best.
Dan Janki.